Well, let's get going. Let's talk about the Jets, Jets.
Man, I don't know about you guys, but I got a lot of Jet fans. I'm from Jersey, and when Mekhi Becton went down with a knee injury last week, they're down, they're gloomy. Then the Jets pick up Dwayne Brown. They're like, okay, we get one of the better tackles in the league. That's a veteran. He wanted to come to the Jets. You can feel a tension or a tide shifting in New York, where Robert Saleh is starting to build this culture. Joe Douglas in the draft has just continued to make really solid picks. The Becton one, he's been injured the last 2 years, so we really can't see what he's going to become. But overall, he's done one hell of a job relative to the past regimes. Then Zach Wilson goes down in the preseason. And with NFL fans, most of us are not medical experts. And so when they see a knee injury, they see a guy maybe tweak it, land a certain way when trying to make a jump cut, or just any type of move and a change of direction, they think, oh, it's torn ACL. And surely that's what all of them thought when Zach Wilson went down on a outside run in the preseason trying to get some extra yardage, didn't slide. And at the time, I said to myself, the dude's questionable to return. I didn't think he was actually going to be out for the entire season with a torn ACL. Not to mention, I do watch Brian Suter on YouTube, and he said, this may not be, it could be a bone bruise for all we know. The results come back after the MRI the following day. It's a bone bruise and a torn meniscus, and while he's going to need to get arthroscopic knee surgery, which is what Mekhi Becton had last year, to put a camera inside your knee, that's not great. Zach Wilson's not also 360 pounds like Becton. He's only going to be missing 2 to 4 weeks. And for Jet fans, that's perfect. You get him back likely for week 2, if not week 1. And more notably, you're going to have him for the next 17 weeks. But overall, it just feels like the Jets season has already gone off to a really bad start. You just have one injury after another in the span of the same week. It's like, damn, it's kind of like the Ravens last season, though much less severe, where they lose J.K. Dobbins, Marcus Peters, then it's Gus Edwards, and finally, later on the season, Marlon Humphrey. It's like this dude, and eventually, obviously, Lamar Jackson after week 10. And what 10 was it, I think? No, the Jets also don't have Super Bowl aspirations this year. It's the difference between those two teams. But you could also say this team could compete for 6, 7 wins as well, and the fan base is just looking for some competitive football. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think?
Honestly, so there's this joke that I heard a long time ago about the Jets. The acronym for the Jets stands for "Just Endure the Suffering." And I'm not trying to make light on a couple of injuries, but it just feels like this is a franchise that can't catch a break. Fortunately, they did in their quarterback. Not it could have been way worse. It could have. I've heard reports of torn ACL, and it turns out it's just a bone bruise. There was a quote from Robert Saleh saying the ACL is supposed to be intact, and everybody's commenting on it like, well, we know it's supposed to be, but is it? Is it intact? And Jets fans freaking out. But they got lucky 2 to 4 weeks. Uh, at least they know they'll have Zach Wilson back. Now, losing Mekhi Becton on the other side, that's a big blow. But overall, you want to see the development from your quarterback. So they have that. He's present. Now they just need to survive the preseason without any more major injuries. And it's really just fingers crossed. That's always the worst part about football this time of year. Especially, I'm a fantasy player. So every time that we draft, we like to wait until at least the last week of the preseason is over because these injuries just happen out of nowhere. It's you never know who's going to be available for you on week 1, and it's not just because of preseason games, but just in practice, these guys are getting season-ending injuries. So Jets really lucked out on this one, and I'm happy for it. Even though I'm rooting against the Jets this year, I'll never root for injuries, and I want to see what Zach Wilson has. He's a talented quarterback, and I want to see what he's going to bring to the table this year.
Yeah. Becton's out for the year, right? I just
Yeah,
want to be
fractured his kneecap.
okay. Okay. Um, yeah, they definitely dodged a bullet with Zach Wilson. He's only going to be out 2 to 4 weeks, so I guess the latest, like absolute latest, he could come back is probably week 3. You're looking at more likely a week 2 comeback. So that leaves week 1 open, and guessing one of John's former quarterback rivals, Joe Flacco, is coming back to the starting fold to be the starter of the New York Jets.
Or
Or you said or?
could this potentially be a Jimmy Garoppolo team
No, no,
for two
no. That would
weeks?
be that would be stupid. That would be absolutely stupid. Um,
They have the history to do it.
yeah, but you're not gonna spend all that money to get Jimmy Garoppolo and
They play
trade for him.
Baltimore week 1. I wouldn't do that. You're not winning that game with Jimmy or without him. So
Yeah, that
they
especially
play the
like if
Browns week
Wilson was
2.
out for the year, I guess, but I don't even think so that way because they don't really have Super Bowl aspirations, like you said. Um, yeah, in terms of the Jets, I mean, it's a blow. Losing Becton's a bigger blow, but still, I still see this season not being a very successful one. Um, I have to see if Zach Wilson's going to take the strides this year, learning the fundamentals of the quarterback position and not really trusting his arm as much as he used to. Uh, that was a big that's one of the major concerns with Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes trusts his arm a little bit way too much. He gets out of himself. He plays a little overconfident. Um, it's all about learning the basic fundamentals of a quarterback, like being in the pocket. You know, it's all right if the old saying, live to fight another day, live to play another down. If it's not there, it's okay if you get throw the ball away or whatever. It's not the end of the day. Um, I mean, one good thing that I'm looking at right here for the Jets' first preseason game, it's not saying much. I don't know how many of the offensive linemen starters played, but if any, but they gave up 0 sacks. None of their quarterbacks got sacked. So I mean that's a plus. Um, yeah, I you know sucks for the Jets, but they're still going to be right where they're going to be at the end of the season anyway. And yeah,
Honestly, dude, you discussed him and how he may trust his arm too much, but I feel like his issues are more comparable to most young QBs, and that's anticipating and reading the defense quickly to efficiently make the throws. He struggled last year reading the defense and just hitting throws in the flat simply. Like running backs is doing a little out route, even like his little check down. He couldn't even hit that oftentimes. He was missing those throws. I feel like that's the thing he needs to really improve on the most in this season, being
yeah,
able
but
to.
that's also what I said. I said it was a two, it's trusting his arm, but also learning the fundamentals, which is what you're saying right there. Learning to read a defense and learning to take what the defense gives you, check it down. That's what Mahomes is just. We saw it last season. Towards the end of the season, Mahomes finally, you know, instead of going big, like always looking for the big play, he finally decided he changed up his game a little bit and decided to play in the pocket and take what the defense gives you, methodically work your way down the field, shoot, take the clock off the board. That's almost like literally what Tom Brady and the New England Patriots did for like 20 years. Methodically work your way down the field, take the clock off the board, play smart, take what the defense gives you.
Yeah. Cheer the clock and throw to James White over and over again.
What was
If you're
that?
playing, cheer the clock and then throw to James White over and over again. Or if you're playing
Yeah.
the Steelers defense, just like a crock and it'll be wide open.
If you, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, listen, the Jets are going to be the Jets. I mean, they had a really great draft, but it's going to take a lot more than what they got in this draft to become a legitimate player in the NFL.
Well, they're heading in the right direction. Would you disagree with that?
No, I said no. I said that. Yeah, they had a great draft, but it's going to take a hell of a lot more. You know what I mean? To For them to be a serious player.
I would love to see the impact that Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore are going to have this season. I feel like the Jets have always been looking for that wide receiver. You know what I mean? With Darnold, they never had a guy for him. This past year, they went out, they acquired Corey Davis. Corey Davis was, I wouldn't say he was a bad receiver. I'd say he was pretty decent, but, had some problems staying on the field at the same time. I want to see this. I feel like the Jets have a very exciting young receiving core that they might shock a couple of people. And if Zach Wilson does take those next steps, man, I think the Jets might live up to their name and they might start flying, at least offensively.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there's much receiver depth, but there's a good amount of running back and tight end depth. I think Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzama, Conklin, Conklin more so had a pretty good year last year, career season. And then Brees Hall, I think he's going to be the stud running back out of this year's draft. And there was a handful of guys there picked in the first 2 days, or the second day. No one's picked in the first round, but I think Hall is going to be that one back that just breaks out from the onset of the season, or at least later on in the year.
Well, you don't you see lack of receiver depth. I'm not talking more so about depth, but I'm talking about talent.
Well,
Like
that's what I was adding on to
yeah,
that.
yeah, they definitely have the talent there. And I mean, offensively, think about it. You mentioned guys like Brees Hall, and then Michael Carter was a pretty serviceable back last season. You add CJ Uzama, their rookie tight end Jeremy Rucker, who scored a touchdown in that preseason game. Maybe they run a couple two tight end sets, and
Evan Coleman.
yeah, and then you include Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis too there.